For our second workshop, the MPR team met at Pershore College, where we explored how to use participatory action research, or PAR, with bees. Developing research conversations with bees rather than about bees was quite a different problem to working with dogs, so we're all looking forward to what the 2 days would bring. In our first session, we heard from Richard Toft, a lecturer at Pershore and a member of the Evesham Beekeepers Association. He gave us a basic introduction to beekeeping, including the roles bees perform over the course of their life cycle, the equipment used, and how a colony is managed over the year. Next, we went out to the hives to meet the bees. There can often be a bit of nerves when meeting potential collaborators in participatory research, but in our case we had to put on protective suits to make it less likely that we would be stung.
A number of people who were quite wary once they were starting to put the suits and things on this morning. Once you're actually there, you become aware of the noise, aware of how you conduct your behaviour, how you have to stay calm. I found that quite fascinating, that actually bees are in some ways then dictating how you have to behave.
After a nervous walk out to the hives, we had a fascinating session learning about the different activities of bees. We saw bees bringing pollen into the hive, saw how brood chambers work, how bees communicate with waggle dancers, and also saw the queen bee. In the afternoon we went on a field trip to the Hipton Hill Orchard, managed by the Vale Heritage Landscape Trust. Our aim was to get a better sense of some of the issues affecting the forage available for bees. When we arrived, someone noticed that there was a swarm in a tree near to the orchard's hives, so we first got to see the process of capturing a swarm.
We've got the main clump, so you hope that the queen is in the centre of the main clump. We'll just wait a little bit and see if those bees up there will follow into the box, and if not, they'll all go back up into the tree or somewhere again.
After this excitement, Adam Bates from the University of Birmingham introduced us to a variety of flying insects he had found on the site. We peered intently at them in their plastic tubes before letting them fly away. We then got down to the main reason for our visit. Andy Davies from the Vale Trust told us about the management of the Heritage Plum Orchard and then showed us how to help prune the existing trees. These had been left to grow for quite some time, and it was hard for some of us to reconcile the idea that cutting large sections from the tree might actually help make it stronger.
So what we're trying to leave is a tree that every piece of wood has got light, because light is our most limiting factor in this country. But the basic rule is anything vertical is less productive than anything that's going towards horizontal.
After a long day in the sun, many of us still found energy to start thinking about how our experiences from the day might be put into a PAR framework. Some key questions for us were what kinds of conversations take place between humans and bees, and also what kinds of choices are bees able to make in the context of beekeeping. The next day we dived more deeply into the question of PAR with bees. First we divided into small groups and developed lists of issues of current concern. Here we tried to differentiate the concerns of beekeepers and other humans from those that the bees might have themselves. We selected 2 key issues which we spent the rest of the morning discussing. The first group looked at co-responsible beekeeping and had some very interesting discussions around some of the divisions within the beekeeping community, including between natural beekeeping and more traditional techniques. The second group looked at cohabitation. They were particularly interested in the issue of bees in urban areas, which can often provide better forage for them. But this also brings with it the issue of people liking bees in the abstract, but not so much when they are living in the backyard next door. They explored how they might engage urban dwellers more closely with bee populations using various interactive technologies. A key part of these discussions was to ask how bees might actively participate in addressing both of these problems. How could they participate in data gathering, for example, or in evaluating the results of the research? Throughout the workshop, we were particularly grateful to the Evesham beekeepers for sharing their knowledge with us so generously and for being willing to explore the strange question of how might you do research with bees.
You learn over time there's certain things you don't do or you don't move in certain ways.
But why do bees keep you busy?
I found this morning sort of being stepped back from everybody where you could visibly feel the entire group suddenly relax. People were becoming aware of this is how the bees behave and so they can behave accordingly.
How do you do that sort of process with something that doesn't talk back to you?